Hello, I'm Heath Allen. I've chosen to discuss the Native American culture in regard to aging. I chose this because I feel as if the Native Americans have a great respect and place a lot of trust and reverence in the fact that their elders are valuable to them. According to Michael McNally in his book Honoring Elders, there are few relationships as important and intimate as the one between grandchild and grandparent in Native American culture. Elders are seen as the primary educators in matters of ethics and tradition in many Native American cultures. This places a lot of esteem on Native American elders. According to our text, about 60 to 70% of Native American families live in urban areas instead of on reservations. This means that they live their lives relatively close to the way we do. As they age, they rely on families and friends to take care of them. They also rely on health insurance, although it is not readily available to them. According to Elaine Congress, 24% of Native Americans lack any health insurance in 2009. Finding a way for Native American elders to have better access to health insurance could be a great way for social workers to advocate for Native American elders. According to our text, despite the urbanization of Native Americans, more Native American elders still live in rural areas more so than any other elder of color. This means that because of cultural beliefs, Native American elders stay close to the reservations, although younger generations tend to move on. And this is of importance because, according to Sandifer, in the Older Americans Act, individual tribes are given the right to determine when and of what age elders are given aging benefits and services. And that's greatly important because the Native American elder population is growing. Native Americans as a whole were more likely to live in poverty. At the time of their study, according to the KFF website, Native Americans were at a 24% poverty level compared to African Americans at 22%, Hispanics at 19%, and whites at 9%. According to Sandifer, if a near poverty line is used as the standard for economic deprivation, then 39% of Native American elders over the age of 60 experience hardship at the time of his study. This is relatively the same percentage as African Americans. Some health concerns for Native American elders, according to the Washington Post, are viruses, infectious disease, diabetes, and TB. The Native Americans that live on reservations live closely in tribes, and that makes times like these with a pandemic virus huge to them, especially hard. This is in part due to the common lack of electricity and running water, which makes standard hygiene difficult. This is also in part because of the lack of health insurance. Without health insurance, Native American elders are 600 times more likely to die of TB and 200 times more likely to die of diabetes than any other group. Native American elders are a proud and cultural people, and this leads a majority of them to decline help from outsiders unless it is from a social worker or someone who is familiar with their culture. According to Meg English, Native American people believe that after death, the soul begins its journey to another world and it is not the end. The spirit never dies. Native American funerals are similar to ours. Family gathers for a few days to be together and dine in remembrance. Native Americans are a very proud cultural people, especially the elders. The elders are respected and taken care of by family. This culture should be taken into consideration when a social worker is trying to help them. The social worker should be familiar with the specific variation in the patient's culture.